I think that our team members are absolutely priceless. I've got one that's into genetics. It's like color genetics and this, that, and other. I've got one that just can look at a dog with her eyes and go, okay, this one's high in the rear. And I'm like, really? Are you sure? And she's like, absolutely. So, we all have our fortes, and I think that my circle is absolutely priceless. The South down here is already we're already a little bit notated as far as not knowing as much. We're cheaper on prices. Our vets aren't as good, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely untrue. Absolutely untrue. We have great dogs. We have everything from, if you want the sweet couch potato boxer, all the way to the ones that I've got in here that I had to hole up, that's so drivey that you think she's a Malinois, So, we still have great dogs down here. We have good breeders that can hold it all the way from breeding naturally all the way to weaning herself. That's what we are trying to focus on the last few years since you and I spoke. I want these good genes back into the pool that can breed naturally, absolutely whelp on their own if possible, all through gestation, of course. Let's not skip the big 2 months, because we see a lot of that too, reabsorption. We see definitely miscarriages. I'm trying to figure out how to sustain this breed before I leave doing what I do. And that's been my focus here recently over the last few years, is let's put the good genes back into the pool. And we already have like 20 dang tests that we have to go through in order to breed these dogs if we do it ethically. So the last thing we need is one that a female's not going to let him breed, or a male that won't. That needs to be the lower level stuff. Well, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing some of these that just don't know how to breed anymore. It's like we are breeding out their instincts, and I don't like it. So we had one here recently, and I produced the dog, and he had a little trouble breeding. It was just a new male, pretty nice female, and they just couldn't quite figure it out. And of course, my circle is, oh, you better go get you some AI, let's do this. We can do side by side. I can come to you. I could, get your kid out, do whatever. And I was like, no, they'll figure it out if they won't breed. I don't need this litter. I need him to get started in our program, but I don't need this litter for myself this time. I need him to figure out so he can become the stud that we have put all our heart, money, and health testing into, and so he did. Patience, patience, patience. So again, I think that we're losing some of the O'Day ways, and I see that across the board with several other breeds. I do see on the Borbal end, they are working hard to keep the natural breeding into aspect, because for a long time they could only AI. You're looking at a 50-pound difference between a male and a female, and you're looking at broke backs or hurt spines or looser hips. You get a lot of problems. Well, now they're breeding some damn females that can step up to the plate, and I love it. I love it. I love seeing where it's headed. It's the same in my breed over here with the boxers. I never bred Hayes. Okay. We showed him and we did all kinds of cool things with him, but we never bred the Borbal. And I've lost him since I spoke with you last. And that was a hard hit as well, but he was my first Mastiff. And I've got a lot of people that would like to put another Borbal in my hands. But at this point, I think that, we run a pack dynamic here. And as I'm getting older, I don't want any mishaps with a Borbal hurting one of my boxers. So I just don't want to at this point. Love the breed, but I don't want to go through that again, right this second.
That's tough because we have this big dog too now. It was my first, big dog that I had lived with full time. I was around my mom's German Shepherd for a while, but this one's even bigger and more capable in many other ways, like a Borbal. Yeah, it's not easy, is it? It's, but it's so fascinating to me. Like, I God, maybe one more. I'm gonna say one more. My wife would kill me, but I'm gonna have one more big dog.
Oh, I know I will too. I tell my husband that all the time. He's like, "Oh, I mean, look back here in this kitchen. Oh, that Borba would take up the entire kitchen. I miss him every day. He was the best dog, one of the best dogs ever placed in my hands. I will forever be grateful to the Proffers, forever. I'll be grateful to the Borba community for teaching me, opening up and teaching me about the breed. Even though I'd been on the groups for a year or so prior, you don't know anything until you get them in your hands. And they're great for the first year or two, and then you start seeing stuff and you're like, oh wow, now I see. So it's such a learning process. I'll be capable again at some point, but I do want to make sure that everybody here is safe. There was no fights or anything like that, don't get me wrong, but he would definitely struggle through my boxer girls heats, and it wasn't fair. So we're going to do things a little different before we get another one. Right now we just got the damn boxers. And it was ever evolving with him. And we were so lucky. And my husband and I say it all the time because we're on the groups still, and we see the problems, we see the temperament issues, we see this. And honestly, looking at his pedigree, he should have been one too that we talked about, not in a nice way on the groups. That son of a gun was just absolutely precious. He was precious in his soul 90% of the time. There was a couple of instances where I was like, how in the hell am I going to stop this? The last time I showed him was up in Gray Summit, Missouri at Purina Farms, and he did a 180 on a Rottweiler behind us in the show ring. And the problem with the boars, which it didn't take me long to learn, is when you're in the show ring, you never put a dog behind the boars, ever. Okay, I don't care what the judge says. I don't care if they go by lineup or ABCs or whatever, and we're supposed to be at the front. I learned very quickly to kindly ask, may we go last? Because they have to see it. They have to see that pack. And that one judge, I'm talking right at the end, Hayes was probably already honors champion at that point. And that one judge was like, no, you'll line up where I tell you. Yes, ma'am. My bad. That was on me. So basically, he did a 180 on the Rottweiler behind us, and me and that gentleman looked at each other like, how in the hell are we going to stop this? So that was the last show that I did. I realized Hayes wasn't enjoying it that weekend. He was more on guard. He was puffed up, where he was a showstopper. People would clap, and he would just, oh, this is great, until he didn't. So I am so proud that I have enough sense to recognize what just happened there, so I could get him out of there and never go back. Never go back. That's where people forget these are animals first. All right. And this is where we're like, well, I don't know why he did that. I can tell you why the hell my dog did it. I absolutely can tell you. So I mean, if people quit recognizing that and let these dogs all of a sudden make their own decision, and then just all of a sudden it comes out of the blue. Untrue. Untrue. You have signs after signs after signs. 90% of dogs, especially intact, have very, very clear communication. And it's our job, if we're going to humanize these dogs and do what we would do with them, it's our job to recognize those communications the first time. And so a lot of my puppy people, I have the best families, and they love me and I love them, but they will tell you I'm a little brash, because they'll come to me, we call it the juvie age, somewhere between 9 and 14 months, and these dogs forget their name. They've never had training. They don't know that they've been potty trained. They're like young teenage 12-year-old boys. They're like, and they'll come to me and I'll say, well, that was your fault. That was your fault. You lost consistency within this. And they're like, man, you're hard. I am hard, but I'm in this for the dog, not you. Now, as a team, I want you guys to succeed and move forward at all costs. I don't do, you just go do you, boo. But you got to do it as a team. If you're separated and you're not realizing what the communication is, then you need to be very, very careful, or go home and start over. A lot of people will come to me and say, my dog is 5 years old and all of a sudden peeing in the house. Okay, we'll go back to square one. If it's not a training issue, it could very well be something medical. So process of elimination, but start with yourself first. And, oh, Cyndi, you're hard. Yes, I am. I am. Sorry. I raised a Marine, you know? So, the boxers are basically still the same. We have some hard dogs. We have some sweet dogs. I will tell you that I kept one back. I bred one 4 years ago, and she was going to be my new therapy dog. I really wanted to get back into therapy like Harshie and I did for years and years with all the kids. And within a year, I washed her out. I was like, okay, so the Euro side's not as easy to do with therapy. They're not as predictable. Their threshold's a little shorter. So I washed her out. We haven't been in therapy, which I greatly miss at this point. But maybe one day we'll get back to it. But I will have to do a sweet little American line or something. These Euros that I'm breeding over here would rather fight than they had to breed. And I don't mean with one another. They're ready for protection sports. They want competition on the fast cats. They want to do dock diving. They want to do, they just want to do. The last thing they want to do is sit here in this crate, So the Euro side is so much fun, but I'm very, very, very careful when I start placing these dogs. And I'm very transparent. I'm not the one that's going to tell you, I don't get any calls back. I get calls back, brother. I get calls back. And then we work together to move through it. So hopefully other breeders are still doing the same, especially on the Euro side. I've got a lot of people that's in my world. They're just breeding these Euro dogs. And I'm looking at this pedigree going, what in the hell? This pedigree right here should have its IGP already, or placing an IGP. It's a suppression in our breed, as it is in many. And that's sometimes hard for me to swallow. I have good days and bad days with it. But for the most part, I do my darndest to focus on what's in my yard. We're about on 6th generation on a couple of different sides. I've got a couple that are a merge of my lines. Back in the day, Ventus came from Ukraine. So we incorporated those lines into there years ago, and we built up on that side. Well, prior to Ventus, we had Harshie and Luddy over here on the American side, and we was building through those tremendously because those are great sport dogs. Those are the ones that, was hitting the fast cat way up at the top of the 20. They just want to work, 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 work. Their father was the one that used to do he was part of our coonhound pack. That's the harder American lines. And then when I started incorporating the Euros years ago, I was like, shit, this is fun. This is fun. This is my cup of tea. This little girl here is a badass. We've had our ups and downs with it. We did incorporate one line, and the problem with her is that she didn't need me. As a matter of fact, she didn't need anybody. So that's a harder dog to work with, especially on an intact bitch, because when they go rogue, they start making decisions for themselves, which is a very fine line. You want them to make decisions, but you don't want them to make bad choices. So I learned so much through that little bitch. And I tell everybody invite, man, if you want to learn how to place your feet and where to put your leads, and especially women, I'm a huge advocate for women for doing this. We have to wrap that lead around our bum. We have to learn different stances. We have to learn how to incorporate ourselves into a back tie, when we're back tying our dogs. Get you a little young bitch, because she will pull out all your faults. Within the first 6 weeks, she's going to tell you what you're doing wrong. So if you're open enough to learn through your own mistakes, work a young bitch first. I'm a huge advocate for that, because your young bitches are so quick. I say young, but you know what I'm saying. Like, yeah, 2-year-old young bitch that's kind of raw in her belly. Those are the ones that will teach you how to handle a dog. And then you can feel like you're, especially a woman, then you can feel like you're more apt to be able to handle a big 85-pound male, because that's where the real power comes in. So a lot of these women come in to bite. I wish Jacques was here with me this morning. A lot of women come into the bite, and they're like, I've got a badass shepherd here. And, Jacques is like, all right, let's see what you got. Well, my job, I don't work for them, don't get me wrong, but my job, as far as looking back and learning through whoever's on the mat, is I want to talk to her. I want to talk to you, no judgment whatsoever, but let's learn together how to place your feet so you can stay safe and therefore your dog can stay safe. You know, a woman bringing in a big hard ass male for the first time, they're going to learn the hard way. Whereas with a young bitch, you may be able to control her and learn how to utilize your tools, including your body. That's a big deal to me as we get older. There, here in Memphis area, a lot of people can't carry guns, so they'll carry their dog. That is their weapon, and so it is a huge deal to me for a judgment-free zone for women to come in. And learn through one another. I'm a huge advocate for that, and every year just becomes stronger because I'm becoming older as well. So when I bring I don't know if you know my dogs, but I've got this young pup. He's 2 now, and I bred him. His name is Hell, and we just give him hell. It's been a long time since I had a young male in my hands. It truly feels like sometimes, Sean, that it's the blind leading the blind. So I'll put his sister Vanty in my hands and I'll be like, okay, all right, I got my feet right again. Yeah, no, I don't like this lead. Let's go swap it out, before I put hell back in my hands. Man, there's so much to learn through any of the sports and whatnot. I do wish that more people would get out and give it a go, because not only does it kind of test your dog's prey or your dog's thresholds, it's also fun to test your dog's speed. It tests their capability, how high they jump. That all helps my breeding. If I've got a female that's 70 pounds, that's kind of a large female for our breed. Well, I want to see if she's a clodhopper or can she jump 6 feet. Then I'll decide who she needs to be mated with. A good strong bitch is priceless, but you don't want a clodhopper with a clodhopper. So I mean, through these sports that I do and whatnot, a lot of people are just like, oh, we're just title chasing and this, that, and that. Nah, I'm measuring. I'm analyzing. I'm picking my dogs apart. Right there within it, I'm picking myself apart, of course, but them first. I take every bit of that information that they showed me that day, and I come back to the drawing board of breeding is what I do. A lot of people, some people don't do that. They don't care for the sports, and they only focus on good family pets out of our breed, and that's fine too. We all need good family pets, but if I'm working these lines, I want to know what the hell I'm working. And so I throw them to the wolves. I'm with them, but I throw them to the wolves. We've done TT testings, through the ATTS. Took 2 dogs out there, a father and a daughter. The father was actually invited back to the PSA club to train, but the daughter was not. Now, they both passed their testing. They both got their little title or whatnot, but it's things like that are a little hard to swallow, but it just brings me back to the drawing board. Okay, I felt like she was a hard bitch. Well, they saw something a little different that day, and didn't see what I thought I was seeing. So we came back to the drawing board here and was like, okay, well, what are we going to create out of her then? They saw some strengths and weaknesses that I didn't quite see. So if people would just be more open and honest, kennel blindness is a true thing. If they'd be transparent, if they'd listen to the people that love them, instead of taking it as, they're bashing me or they're putting me down. Not everybody. Not everybody is bashing you or putting you down. Would you rather hear that from a stranger on Facebook, or would you rather hear it from somebody that's in your circle? That's who we are. If we can't openly talk to one another about the faults of the dog, then we probably don't need to talk the dog. So I may be wrong on that. I don't know. You've got to put them out there. You've got to see. My biggest thing is I want to know what in the hell the threshold is. That threshold at 6 months on this little intact bitch is not going to be the same threshold that she has at a year and a half at 18 months. I'm continuously testing. Continuously testing. I get it all the time from my people. 6-month-old pup. All of a sudden, it's scared of the garbage can. Okay, it's just a fear period. Now, you need to take that dog in there for the next 10 hours and put it next to the garbage can. Get it through it. That's where some see me a little bit hard, but that's what I do. If there's a problem with the damn tree, well, now we've got to stand next to the tree for the next day. Or I'll tie you to it, but I'm here with you. You're not going to do it alone. But I mean, thresholds change. and environments are a huge part of that. If we're on the fast cat field, Harshy, which is my therapy dog, or used to be, um, oh my God, he acts like a freaking idiot. But the very next day on Monday, we could go to the school over here with third graders, and he'd lay on the floor and take treats, all day. So I mean, I would not have ever known that if I hadn't have done it. I Now I can place expectations on my breed or my breedings from that particular dog. And if they go outside, if they're outliers, we deal with it. These are live animals with souls and heartbeats. They are not refrigerators and vacuums. You can't just return it back and say, well, this one's a little faulty in this engine. Can you tune it up? These are live animals. And so if we don't test them, why in the ever loving hell would we breed them? That's where I'm at. And so I don't bash anybody's program. I'm sure a lot of people bash mine. I don't care anymore. I pay attention to what these dogs are presenting to me that are standing in front of me. And that goes all the way to the health testing and how they act at the vet, all the way to any sport that we may do, or just going to TSC. You'd be very surprised. I could take one of my hardest dogs on the bite mat, and then he'd have a meltdown at TSC. And I'm like, okay, well, now we have to come every day. Great. Thanks. But if I don't recognize that, then how in the hell am I going to help the people that I'm selling these puppies to? A year or two from now. So it's just a huge deal to me to know the thresholds of these dogs, whether they're happy or sad thresholds, scared, anxious. What makes your dog freaking tick? What makes your dog tick? I've got two puppies here. I say pups. They're 2 years old. That's Helen and Banty, their brother and sister, from my lines. From my lines. So they're probably fourth generation. I have to look at the pedigree. They're so different. It's absolutely insane. This little bitch is so drivey. I placed her with a dear friend of mine up in Tennessee, and they do everything. But she's so drivey that I knew at about 6 months old that she was being failed here in such a large pack environment. She needed more than what I was even offering her. And that was every day, Sean. I was out every day doing something with this dog, whether it be here in the yard or going somewhere. It wasn't enough. It wasn't her. This environment did not fit. It just didn't fit. It wasn't enough to fulfill. Well, now she's fulfilled. Unbelievable, the greatness that I've seen come out of this dog in the last year and a half, being under her guardian home's hands and their family. She's a family dog that gets to do everything. And I'm talking all the hard sports. We're in bite, where we do everything. Now her brother Hell over here would rather sleep, but when he wakes up, it is balls to the wall. You see, two totally different siblings from the same litter, same parents, two totally different. I pride myself in saying this girl needs more than what I'm offering her, because I could have kept her here, was going to, and then turned a few homes down, and I was like, oh, this is not going to be a couch potato, y'all. I cannot place her with you. So when I finally found her home, the thriving of this dog is absolutely, I'm more proud of this breeding than I've been in a long time, because I saw her build herself up with her new family. And I get to see her all the time. She's here now, for a week, health testing and stuff that we do. She's doing great. People need to realize that if you're going to run your dogs at your home, know who's thriving, who isn't, what's their thresholds, what makes them happy. What makes them happy? There's still several bitches here I cannot put together. I've got one named Debbie, and she's the hardest. She's only a 50% Euro, 50% American, and that's the hardest bitch I've ever owned in my life. She loves me, thank God. She loves a couple other women in my life, and that's it. That's it. That's an individual. That's an individualistic dog, and I have to be very careful with who I breed that to. I don't want to breed that all the time, because that is one that just isn't going to thrive with a family that just wants happy, happy, joy, joy. So I have to know this stuff before I breed them. And if you don't know what the hell you're breeding, if you're just breeding because you need a damn litter on the ground and to sell out, that's where I start having problems with you. We haven't bred since, we just bred the other day. We got this breeding done, but we haven't bred since last September-ish, August, September, something like that. Just kind of kept putting it off. The economy's still bad. People don't have the money. Um, that's a fine line on a breeder. Do you come way down to match this, or do you stand firm on what you've built for 20 years? So it's a fine line with the economy as well. So we just decided to skip quite a few. Went and had some fun. We've done a few shows. We've gotten some championships. We've done a few fast cats here and there. Got a few smaller titles. I've done a ton of mentoring and some kennel club videos, or guestings or whatnot. But bite work is still a huge part of our kennel. A lot of people still, I like to teach and educate people about bite and protection sports of any sort because they think it's just making your dog mean. And that's so far from the truth, especially on our bulls. We're directing is what we're doing. God put this spark in this dog's belly, and if I don't do something with it, then it's not like it's going to be suppressed. It's just going to be sitting there just the whole time. So I like to take these dogs out. I like to test them. I like to put them in just crazy ass environments. I like to put them with other dogs. Always safe there. Always safe. We had our young male here the other day breeding. He doesn't live here. Well, my young male, I've never seen him act like that. That's testing. That's notated. That's in my mind. Next time we go to an event, that's probably how he's going to act. Brand new dog, big set of balls now. So there's things that we're still in and whatnot. But my biggest thing is focusing on learning, even continuously learning to this day, what in the hell I'm breeding. Looking at these pedigrees, learning the pedigrees, pushing it out, pushing the information out, the health testing. We've got a couple of new health testings on our breeds that we have to do. Learning through that, and it's just ever evolving is what it is. We've placed a few open rights here recently in the last 3 to 4 years. That's exciting. It can also be detrimental because I'm the first one they call, so that's heavy, and a lot of breeders don't know how to handle that. They just want to sell and hope they never hear from them again because no news is good news, right? Well, I'm the one that's calling. What in the hell are you doing here recently? What events have you been to? What's the blood look like? How is she with cats? I want to know it all. I want the good, the bad, the ugly, the sweet. I want it all. Otherwise I need to hang my torch up if I want to quit learning. So that's just kind of where I'm at, and I'm just hardcore about it. And a lot of it too, and I'll even break it down a little bit more. And I've been through this as well. At some point in your breeding career or your dog career, whatever you want to call it, you only start trusting yourself. You only trust what you breed. I'll bring in outsources, something happens. I'll bring in buy a pup, something happens. So you start getting yourself into this hole and you only start trusting yourself. So nobody else's voice matters at this point. Well, that's not a good way either. So thank God my people were loyal enough to wait till I got done with that phase. And that way I could come back and join the party and say, okay, I'm back. I realize that your stuff is as good as mine, if not different or not better. A lot of humble things have happened, and it's typically when you think you've done everything right and still something just goes absolutely wrong in your mind, whether it's wrong or not. It's called nature. It's just nature. So I've dug myself into a hole a few times. My kennel looks just like this, except for one. I can't breed anybody here to hardly anybody. I'll get out of it. I'll get out of it. It's fine. At this point, I'm down to 6 dogs that live here, and then I've got my little outskirts and whatnot. Little Vanty, letting her go up to that home, to that family, was the most humbling thing I've done in a long time. She was a merge. This litter was a merge of my 2 sides of the kennels. They're 75% Euro. The pedigrees are strong. The health testings are strong. That she was everything that I wanted. But I just kept seeing that she would get further and further away from me. And I'm like, I don't think I'm her match. And so when I just took a whim and placed her up there, I did it for a 2 week. I said, let's give it a couple weeks. I'm sure I'll be back up here to get her. Never went back. The dog instantly went into, this is my home. These are my people. She lives with herders. She thinks she's a damn herder. And now the herders think they're boxers. It's absolutely beautiful to watch is what it is. For me to let that go, let her go, was a little difficult, but only here. Not my family, not my dogs. My dogs were like, let that bitch go. We don't even like her. She crazy. It's not that. I mean, she's a great pack animal by any means. She's perfect. She's great here even. But if we don't recognize the dog's needs first, then we don't need dogs. I mean, it literally comes down to the nut cutting of that, and to place a dog somewhere, knowing that you're, but the thing about Vanty is, I get to see her all the time. I get to step back at bike class or wherever we may be, fast cats, whatever, and I'm this. I'm sitting there going, uh-huh, 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 pasterns, croup, the way she utilizes her body, we need to work on that. I'm continuously looking at these dogs in a more scientific manner, I guess, to the extent. And then I like to get them. Like my co-owns every now and then, if the families will allow it or we can work it out, let me have them for a week or two. Let me have them. And that way I can see what in the hell I've bred. These dogs change continuously. They're a tenth of our lifetime, at best. So if I keep Havoc at 6 months and I keep him again at 18 months, I'm going to see a hell of a huge difference. So instead, let me just get him every now and then. Let me remind myself what in the hell I've bred and what we need to move forward on, or slow down a little bit. Let's keep it right in the middle. Let's find our happy medium the best that we can. The thing about boxers is, we're like number 7 on some list somewhere that says we're pet dogs. We're family dogs first. We really are. They make great family dogs. I'm over here breeding these hard ass lines. I have to remind myself that what our standard says, confidence and this that, and other, but we're still, they still know humans are first. When I'm not over here breeding Kangles, let's keep that in mind. You know, so I have to. This is my mind all the time. I have to continuously even slow myself down and go, let's reevaluate. Reevaluation to me on any kennel program, whether you're breeding or you're just working dogs or training or whatever you do, is absolutely crucial. Absolutely crucial. And my people know that they can call me and I am their stone. I will stand there with that phone for 15 hours if I have to, so that they can just run it through their mind to reevaluate their programs. Let's talk it out. I care for you, so whatever words, no matter how hard these words are, it's coming from a good place. It's coming from a good place. I'm here to build you up, not break you down. And that's kind of, and they do the same for me. So again, my circle has become very tight. We have said it with such fortes that I feel sometimes like, I'm so humble to be a part of it, and a part of their world and their knowledge and the way that they pass it on. And if we can do that, then how in the ever loving hell can we fail? And that's just kind of where I'm at. And again, with it being live animals, you're always going to have failures if that's the way you look at it. They're live animals. It's always above our pay grade. And that's very important. And I tell myself that a lot. I can test these dogs. And I mean testing like out on the field or just whatever in the hell I'm doing that day, whatever event, whatever health testing, whatever we're doing. I can do it all day long. But at the very end of the day, I'm not in charge of their hearts continuously beating. So again, I just want to move forward with this program and focus on longevity and good health testing, and thresholds are so important to me that I'm so curious about why. Why does that limb scare that dog? Why does that rock that's been here for 15 years all of a sudden make this dog nervous? Why does this dog that was so great yesterday, which we don't go to dog parks, but at a dog park, why is it not today? What happens? So that's kind of the things that we're looking at and focusing on here to make the breed better before I pass my torch on. So, there's been a separation, Sean. There for a while, I saw our breed really. A lot of people call it, drowning down in the blood, drowning the blood, whatever. They're suppressing. They're suppressing the guardian side of it. Um, I saw that, and I was part of it, and I was madder than hell. I was mad. I'm a I'm a hard handler. I like my dogs harder. I saw that and I was madder than hell. And then I saw something beautiful happen. So now, if there's always going to be a separation, all right, everybody needs to know that in every breed, there's a separation. With ours, now we let the big people do the big dog things. If people are wanting to do, they'll go earn their BHs, ZTPs, and get started in all these bite sports and whatnot, then let's let the experts do that. Let's sit back and watch that. And then you've got your pet people over here that are like, I could never do that, but man, I watch with such excitement now. I feel like there's a pretty good merge going on. Not that they'll ever meet in the middle. My pet people will never meet me on the bite mats. Okay, I don't expect that. What I do want them to know and learn through me or whoever we're watching is this is what this breed is capable of. Unless we ever forget that we're a guardian breed / working breed. Lest we ever forget that. The last dog I bought, not this one last one, but the one prior, the last dog I bought that meant absolutely just, oh, she taught me a lot. I bought her straight off her pedigree. Never even looked at the parents. I looked at that pedigree. That was one of the best dogs. So lest we forget what in the hell this dog is. So I'm seeing a really good merge of acceptance, basically. 10 years ago, people would say, I can't believe you put these dogs out there and do all this crap with them. You're making them so mean. Now it's, I can't wait to watch your videos. This is so impressive. We show my family at birthdays, that this dog's mama does this, or is capable of. And we're so proud of you, to go do it and to learn through it and to mentor through it. I'm just, again, huge on women. Bring the women. If women come in, I'm like, you come here, girl. Come over here. It's a hen party. Never, bite sports are a lot of judgment. And I never want the women to feel like that. And with Allegiance up here, our men up there are absolutely fantastic. We're all the same. Everybody's the same. It doesn't matter the breed, it doesn't matter our capabilities, doesn't matter our gender, our color, our voices. It does not matter. We're all the same. And that is such a team. It's such a building team effort for my breed that I feel so happy to be a part of. Because that is a huge part of the working dog. I feel like every working breed or guardian breed should give it a go, because until you tap into that and really piss that dog off and see what they're truly capable of, you have no idea that little Susie over here could do that. Zero. But then one day it may happen. So I take my knowledge over the last few years and I educate people as much as they will listen. I tell people all the time. Man caught me at TSC the other day. Oh, tell me about this. I was like, absolutely. Well, 15 minutes later, he was like, I got to go. I was like, oh no, sir, you started it. I got more to say. So if you stand up and stand, if you screw up and stand still long enough, I'm gonna talk to you about it. So I've taken this, and anything I can learn, I am passing it on as much as possible, in the best way possible. I'm reminding people that first and foremost, these are animals with teeth. Does it bite? Well, hell, it might. It's got teeth. It doesn't matter the breed. Uh, you know, Health testing. Sometimes it's above our pay grade if one fails at echo or hips. Some of it's environmental. So let's process of elimination. Let's look at this together. But the biggest thing is, let the experts do what they do. And these over here are always going to be your support team. So there's a separation that is reducing. And I'm so thankful for that, because even as myself, we're not in the north where all the big sports are and this, that, and other. I sit back. I can't tell you the amount of times that I learn through their videos. We pass it on to other people and learn through them. I'll reach out to the people and say, "Unbelievable when you did this," and they're like, "Oh, you caught that? You damn right I did." Thank you for sharing. I'm learning through you. That's what it's supposed to be about. And people just get so aggravated at one another, and it becomes more of a swinging dick competition, and it shouldn't be that ever. We're all the same breed. And then, like in show, we're all the same group. If my puppy gets out there with some of these, you ought to see us, Sean. My puppy got to go out in a group with uh oh my God, the most beautiful Dobermans and giant Schnauzers and Malamutes. We were part of something that with this little bitty dog here, and I'm like, you son of a bitch, look at us go. That hits you right here. And as soon as we're done, we didn't win a damn thing. I don't care. As soon as we're done, I'm going to every one of them and talking to them about it. That's what it's supposed to be about if you're going to be in the dog world. But most people can't do. A lot of people can't do that. So, but I talked recently to Charlie Randolph. I got on one of his lives, and we were talking about dogs, and I was like, "Tell me about the bulls. What are you seeing up there? Tell me what's going on in the bulls." Speaking of, we have Charlie Randolph coming this weekend to Memphis, so I'm very excited to see him at the seminar. And he says the same thing. He was like, "Cyndi, there's a lot happening in the bulls where they're real soft." And he's like, the pressure, we can't put pressure on them anymore. And I was like, notated. We're going to work on that. If you're going to be in bite sports of any sort, you got to be able to push through the pressure. And a lot of people they forget that 50% of that dog's pressure threshold is from you. So if you're not a team out there, then you're not going to push through that threshold anyway. So I'm continuously working on that as well. If I'm going to breed these damn dogs, and I want them hard, then I got to be hard too. Within reason. He's still my baby.
You talk about that there's a couple of new health testing requirements. What are those?
Oh my God, our breed. So we have ARVC, which is a genetic test. It's a heart test. We now have ARVC 1 and now 2. We pull it. We pull it, Sean. We'll pull our genetic testings, especially the DM and whatnot. But we also Holter. So we put the 24-hour EKG on there, and then with that Holter result, and then we go get a cardio, or the echo through the cardio. Those two testings go hand in hand. Then they can make a determination. Okay, this heart is cleared. Otherwise, it's like a two-part thing on the same organ. So the genetic testings, North Carolina is working really hard, and I give those people the best credit I can ever give. But we don't put a lot of faith into it until they get the kinks worked out. We pull it, but I'm not afraid to work with a carrier. Now, I will tell you, here at our kennel, and then the ones that I do place on full rights are never more than a carrier. It's important to me to have a little leniency as far as choices, options when it's breeding time. I don't mind working with a carrier, but we won't work with a double gene. Ain't happening. I just feel like a double gene, no matter if the testings still need a little work and whatnot, I feel like the double gene is not a good place for that to start. Back in the day, we've been testing for so long that my main male Harsh has 3 DM statuses. He's a carrier on 2 and he's clear on 1. So that was when they were still figuring all the kinks out, 11 years ago. So all these years, instead of retesting him, I just tell everybody he's a 1. He's a 1. And that's how we work with it. If I ever wanted to retest him, I could do it, and hell, we might do it before he passes, just for shits and giggles, but that's all it would be for. I'm not scared to work with a 1 on the genetic testings. As far as the rest, people need to do more testing. At this point, my full rights contract basically says I want the genetic testings pulled, and then I want hearts, of course, hips, of course. I want the DM status, definitely, and I want the damn thyroid tested. A lot of people don't test the thyroid. And I'm seeing a lot of weirdness going on with thyroid recently that I don't want in this program and I don't want to reproduce off of. And boxers and bulls in general, a couple other barrel chested breeds, whether it be whippets and dobes, they're having a little bit of thyroid issue here recently. Probably something that humans did because we screw it all up. So now we got to fix it. So it's thyroid's very important to me. And then of course, when I'm at shows and whatnot, we'll hit eye certifications. It should be done on bulls because we're pretty prominent, for cherry eye and whatnot, and pressure on the eye. And then here recently, I'm even doing patellas for some, that's for small dogs. But I'm like, shit, let's give it a try, because about 6 years ago, I'm watching Hershey walk through the yard, and it looked like his patella area popped, just popped. We're just walking. And I'm like, okay, what's this? So I watch him for a few days. I take him, and he was fine. But since that moment, if there's a patella, if there's a way, that I can get to somebody that will do it. Since then, I'll go ahead and pull it. I want that certification too, to kind of see where we stand. Spondy in our breed is a huge issue on the Euro side. We pull that. That's the spine X-rays, and that needs to be more notated on. Spondy is. It's a later problem. It's a later issue. Young dogs can have it, but young dogs don't typically feel it. So it's a lot. I compare Spondy to like my back at 50 something. 10 years ago, it didn't hurt that bad. Well, today it's kind of sore, so we do check for Spondy also. It's kind of important to me to see where we stand. I like to do that later, like somewhere between 3 and 5. The rest of it I'll get done pretty early, within reason. But the genetic testings, with some of these breeds like the Dobermans, the Boxers, even some of the sight hounds are having some problems with it and whatnot, but the testings are just compiling on. They're just compiling on. It's just continuous that, before long, we're going to have to test from Naraho to Asso, in order just to even get breeding rights on it. And so be it. With that, no matter how good that is, you lose a lot of being able to notate on and recognize function. So it's a very fine line, and some of the new breeders don't quite know how to get there just yet. To look at a dog as a whole, it took me years to look at a dog as a whole. And if you get a dog back that has fair on its OFA hip rads, but can jump about 6 or 7 feet, then you take both into hand in hand in consideration, and you breed that. So we work hard with the testings. I'm a huge advocate. I mentor a lot on the testings. They're very important to me. And then I always follow up with, and then you need to stand back and look at your dog and see what the capabilities are. Do not lose that. Do not lose being able to look at that dog and recognize that it can jump above my head. And where does that rear angulation match with the fair grade? So not always throwing the, what's those saying? Throwing the baby out with the wash, or what? I don't even, whatever.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I've been studying a lot of it, because I kind of got into, before I got deep into the French Bulldogs, I was looking at the required health testing and how that community was starting to utilize some of the newer technology as far as the testing is concerned. And there's a strong but minority group of individuals who are doing, hips and elbows and doing all those sorts of things that are going above and beyond what the Breed Club suggests. But then I listened to animal geneticists, canine geneticists, and they are like, well, health testing is just a part of what you're trying to do, and really what you're figuring out is it's disorder testing. It's not health testing. You're not creating healthy dogs by testing them. It's a guideline to go through, and what the geneticists were really trying to push for in, say, breeds that are a mess, like English and French Bulldogs, my breeds, is a complete change in structure. And how do you get to that? That's the controversial part. But
It is controversial. It will remain, though, as long as we keep showing, it will always remain controversial.
and so yeah, but what you said was absolutely right. If you see, and I've been hearing more and more people articulate this, even like the geneticists, if you see a dog that can jump 6 feet, how could you take that dog out of the gene pool and call yourself a preservation breeder?
Don't know. It's a fine line, and sometimes I'll tell you what I do, Sean, and my people get on to me about it, but I'll shut it down. You won't hear from me for a week. I don't want anybody in my ear. I want to make my own choices because I'm the one that has to stand behind them. Um, with this breed, I've come across a couple of clodhoppers. I don't like it. I don't like it. They're heavy. There's a reason they're heavy. And people, when I talk to them about it, some people just get a little butt hurt, and they're like, "Oh, you're just talking about my dog." Yeah, I mean, but basically, I am. And when I walk away, you're going to talk about me. So there's a reason this dog is a clodhopper. Let's figure it out. Let's pick it apart. Let's look at it. Let's see why. Because you don't want spring, you don't want this, but you don't want one that can't lift its damn feet up and it's dragging its knuckles. There's a reason. Again, a lot of people just become a little bit blind to what they've got presented in front of them, or they will only look at the results of the health testings, and that is a crucial mistake in every breed. Absolutely crucial. You got to take it all in as a whole. A lot of the older Euro style breeders, they don't. The last thing you need to ask them is, what colors are you going to have? You don't ask them. Looks are the last thing. I don't want to lose the beauty of my breed by any means. We have put some ugly ones on this earth by mistake, or whatever. I didn't do it. You know what I mean. But for the most part, I don't want to lose the beauty of the breed. There's a reason that my heart was drawn to this stance and this correctness and this, the way that they stand up and look at everything. But the other thing is, good for them. Good for them, because those are the ones that have the balls to stand back and say, I'm breeding off of function. Promise you that. So I hope before I leave this earth that we can all come to a happy medium with this breed. I truly do, whether it be through beauty and grace in the show ring, health testing on the table, or all the way down to their performance and their ability and their confidence on the bite bat and everything in between. I don't ever see that it's going to happen, but I'm a huge advocate for that, to meet in the middle on some things. I'm just one of those breeders that likes to do it all. I don't want the highest title and this, that, and other, but I do want that sitting on there, or at least on my paper, so I can remember. And I learned through this when I took Easy up there for the TT title, and she didn't get invited back. Of course, I walked away there feeling defeated. And then I look over at her father and I'm like, but damn, you're the only boxer today out of, I don't know, 300 dogs that got invited back. Just so when you take a hard hit, don't forget your good hits too. You know, um, that don't even go on our pedigree. I mean, most of the people don't even know what it is, except like in the Borble world and whatnot. The Borbles that were there that day failed, and it was heart wrenching. And for me too, and it wasn't even my dogs. I see a loss of breed in certain breeds. I see it as a whole. They're losing their capabilities faster than what the dog can even leave the earth for. They're losing their capabilities faster than that particular breeder can put another litter on this earth. And if we don't stop this madness, then you're not going to have any preservations left. You're just not. We're all over the place. We do everything. We're not good at one thing. We're not bad at anything. We're freaking everywhere. We try it all. That's how we got Rally done. I don't like obedience. It's boring. It goes down my lead to the dog. The dog's like, I don't want to be here because, I'm like, I don't either. Shit. But we got it. I look over in the corner at the show and I'm like, what's going on over there? And they're like, oh, that's Rally. I'm like, what the hell's that? And I was like, well, sign us up. I got this little bitch right here. We'll go do anything. And she did it. We just didn't like it. So you see our little our little rally title on there, and people are like, oh, I didn't know you did rally. And I was like, we don't. We just try. We just try. We are humble when we do it. We listen to people that want to teach us. Um, we work with them. If they've got something ugly to say, I'm not the one to say it to. I am a bullhead to my core. But if they want to just teach me, man, I'm all for that. I'll spend the whole weekend with you. That's what it should be about. No breed will move forward unless you got the middle people that are willing to learn through it and push for it and have the voice for it. Met a man the other night, not too long ago at Bite. And of course, I gravitate towards the bulls. And that's just my human nature. And he's got a big boxer over there. I'm looking at him. We end up talking forever. We talk forever. And, it's hard for him to hear a couple of things that I said. None of it was out of ugliness. It's all out of the love of the breed. If people could understand that it's about the dog and not about your way of feeling about this dog, or how much heart or how much money or how much effort, time, and energy you put into it. If it's only about the dog, then you ought to be able to hear it. These aren't children. These aren't our children. With that being said, I still like my long noses, and people don't like that. I've got Debbie over here. It's got a long nose like Carson Letty, and that pisses people off. I've got a couple short noses. I don't like them. I try not to breed for the short noses. I want to be able to measure recoup on a field through an actual event that the dog can freaking recoup. And you put a short nose out there and it'll take them damn 5, 10, 15 minutes to catch their breath after a 300-yard run. I don't like it. I'm not going to breed it, so we've messed up a little bit here and there. When I'm on some of my breeding ideas, a big spark interest of breeding idea, put a long nose with a short nose and the damn litter will come out 50-50. I don't have my medium, so I've had to learn through stuff like that to breed to correct. You don't take extreme and hope for the best. We're breeding to correct. So we've had our ups and downs throughout the kennel. We've kept back almost every litter that we've produced. We keep back, trying to remind myself of what in the hell I'm breeding, instead of just breeding. So it's been a whirlwind. Not a lot's changed other than, I just keep the dog in my focus. I've surrounded myself with people that have a passion for betterment, that are humble and open, and we just move from there. Our prices haven't changed a lot. We're on the higher end, somewhere between 2,200. That's the euro side. But if you go 3 states up, they're asking 35 for the same, percentage. Not a lot's changed other than that. Just a few things here and there.
Well, I mean, that's totally fair price compared to what we're seeing today, and for the quality what we're seeing today. So I commend you on that, because it's such a I'm 100% in the belief that if you're putting your heart and soul into something, you should reap the benefits, because I think breeding good dogs takes money. I mean, it's a subject matter we all hate to talk about in the animal world for whatever reason, but it's the driving force at the same time. And so I think that it's so important that we do talk about it and we don't poo-poo it, because, the last thing the dog world needs, and breeds like ours, the dogs that we love so much, the last thing you need is it to go away because a breeder can't sustain it without a hardship. And I just don't see why we're embarrassed by it. But what ends up happening that you don't see in the boxer world that you do see in the Frenchie and the English world, then it becomes where it's just a marketplace where almost like you're money laundering more than anything else. So good thing good thing you guys don't worry about that. But what I see with your dogs is so amazing is just that I don't see with a lot of others is that, you know, you are focusing on function, but you are not losing out on the beauty.
I don't.
I see your dogs. I'm like, that is a boxer that I would own, that I would want to own. You know what
Right.
I mean? And so
Right.
that it's like the function. I think just because a dog's functional doesn't mean. I think they're going to be more. If we really look at dissect a dog, a functional dog is probably a better looking dog all around anyway, in a lot of ways.
It can be. I don't want to lose the beauty. And our eyes are all different, so therefore we all think something is beautiful here. And like I got friends that love pugs, and I'm like, yeah, And then I've got friends that don't like my mastiff. They're like, eh. I don't want to lose the beauty of what my eyes see. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in this breed. Their face is very important to me. Their eye placements. I'm a huge, huge advocate for ears. If people want to keep them floppy in my breed, it's accepted now. It's okay to openly talk about it. A few years ago, it was either it goes. Our ears go through stages. About once every 5 to 10 years, we change. It's don't ever crop. Oh my God, natural. God's way. Oh, but I don't want the tail. Okay, gotcha. Over here, you got your other people. You better crop. You're screwing up my breed. I can't believe you didn't crop. And I'm like, gotcha. So I don't want to lose the beauty of what I'm looking at. I'm able to look past flash and color, and I'm able to look past things that I feel like are more important, which is like ear set. Ear set on our breed is very important to me. Wet heads, which is the wrinkles, as you know, with the bulls. Definitely the chest and whatnot. I've got my young boy out here that I have worried my people to death because his damn chest was so wide it looks like an old English bulldog, and I'm like, where the hell did this come from? I have his mother and his father, and he's the only one out of all these puppies, and it's got this big ass chest. So I just stayed patient, and I was like, he's gonna figure this out. It's gonna be fine. Now he looks more proportionate at 2 years old. It took him a long time. Again, that's on that Euro side. So they grow slow. I don't want to lose the beauty. I want that stance. I want the forward ears. I want the beauty here. I want the mandibles. I want the jowls. I don't want too wet. I've got what I like. We all do. But the biggest thing is there's still a standard to go by. And a lot of people just like, we're close, but no cigar. I can even say that to an extent. I can say that. There's a few that's got their own faults, and I look at them and I'm like, damn it, I bred that. Shit. Um, but then most of the time I'm like, but they're not far off because there's other complements within this dog on itself that can sustain. I work hard with that. I will pick these dogs apart for a damn year before I breed them. I will pick them apart. I will analyze. I will appropriate. I will continuously roll over why this dog walks this way. I take slow-mo videos 2 to 3 times a week on their gaits. I want to know what in the hell their croup is doing. When the head goes up here, why in the hell is the croup coming down here? I am continuously analyzing these dogs, but through it all, I still want them to be pretty, and that's important to me. Um, there's some that just don't care about the looks or whatnot, and I'm cool with it. You like what you like as well, but I don't want that in my program. There's just a certain look that I'm looking for with the function, and if I can find it, I stick with it. As you see, I've incorporated a few here and there over the years. We're in the 6 generations, minimum on one side, and the other side is just as strong. It's all trial and error. The biggest thing is I believe in what I'm doing. I feel like I'm on a level where I can back it up. Um, if I have to prove ourselves out there and I fail, I'm okay with that. I really am okay with that. Not all are going to excel on everything. Just like when I washed this dog out of the damn the therapy dog program, that broke my heart. I was ready to get back in it. The company was there. It's my own dog. It didn't cost me a penny. But it hit me so hard, and I was like, but I'm proud of myself because she would have been miserable, absolutely miserable. So we did other things with her, and now she's a one-time mom and has produced, she produced a beautiful therapy dog that is working therapy with children every day of his life. That's awesome. That is awesome. I knew she had it in her. So I'm just staying focused on what I feel is that medium, roundabout, well rounded function, temperament, and health also. I want the breeding, I want the natural breeding qualities in there, or I don't want them. The amount of times that I hear from people, oh, my dog's I've got a boxer and it's crazy. Oh, it's all, and I'm like, mine aren't. I won't run that. I won't run that neurotic stuff. That's not what this breed is about. Everybody, and I sometimes I'll be kind, and if an old lady at Home Depot says, oh, this is the goofy breed, and I'm like, you're right, yes, ma'am, it is. It is a goofy breed. They make me smile. But if there's somebody that says it, and I'll be like, no, they're not. No, they're not. We call them the clowns or whatnot. Come to my kennel. You're not gonna laugh. I promise you. Um, I just it's so important to me for the well-roundedness of these dogs in order to be able to be put into my breeding program first and foremost. There's quite a few that I've placed over the last few years that I'll place on limited rights, but there's always an option to open that back up. I'm very careful with that selection because they're actually working homes, whether it's through bite or just something fun like fast cats or even barn hunts, any of that. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's Petco. Go do it. That helps me see if that dog's kind of becoming what I feel like those lines should produce. And then later on, we'll open up rights if I see fit. But until that moment, we're just going to keep it on. Let's just keep it right where she sits until we decide later on. Life happens. Humans' life happens. Dogs have to get rehomed. People die. Divorces. Kids grow up. There's so many changes that can happen in one dog's life. So I'm not huge on just throwing full rights out there. And y'all, good luck, y'all. Hope you do well. That's not who I am. I'm all up in your shit. So, and if people don't want that, they don't need to come to me for full rights because we're going to be a team or we're not going to be anything.
Yeah, and that's another thing that with my search that I found kind of disheartening. It's made me a little cynical. Even I'm a cynical person as is, just by the nature of what I've done for a career. But it, I've gone to people and said, hey, these are this is what I want, but here's what I'm willing to give up on my end because I want your not necessarily mentorship because I hate bosses and supervisors. I'm an old curmudgeon now, but I want your guidance and I want the to be able to bouncing off of you and people were like, oh great, but they weren't willing to give and meet me in the middle at all. And you would think that if they really wanted to push the program further, and what I was saying to them is like, hey, here's what I'm willing to give up front, no questions asked. You just got to give me halfway in the middle, and I'll do what you want on many different levels, and I'll take your suggestions to heart, and I'm going to ask you questions, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes because this is a breed that I'm not quite familiar with, and so I don't want to have a bad name, so I'm not an ounce. And so and it just kind of was like, wow, you don't, but I get it. I get it. If you were running the program, if I saw somebody running a program like yours and you said, nah, I'm, I would say, okay, I understand. That's not something that you're willing to do, but because you put the heart. But then if I look deeper into other people's programs and they're not necessarily doing all those things, I'm like, man, you're missing out here. But so
Yeah,
I know it's hard to, there's a lot of goofballs out there, and the consumer side of it, we're not, we're not all cracked up what I'm talking about either. I know that I'm probably a minority, and so
I understand where you're coming from, and lest we forget, I'm a consumer as well. I have to buy also. I have to earn their trust. I have to earn their respect. I have to show myself, prove myself, and I have to ask the right questions. And that's what I tell people when they call and they're like, some of them take it so far, and those are the ones I want to put my time, effort, and energy into. And then I have some that just bought a great pet, the family's doing well, and they come back to me a year later and say I want to breed, and I'm like, when you match what I do, we'll open up rights, but you have to match me. And they're like, oh, well, we can't do that. Well, then, honey, no. And I mean, it's just a security thing. And I truly am securing your way as well. Y'all don't want puppies. You don't understand. Your children's not going to understand when the puppies die in their hands, or the male hurts himself trying to breed, or just there's more bad in breeding than there is good. You don't want this. I'm protecting you. And that in that sense, most people understand. They truly do. I'm very open, honest, transparent, and humble when I speak to these people, whether it's hard words or easy words. Same with my Borbal breeder. I had to earn through him. I had to earn. I stayed on that list for about a year, and he was a hard man. And went twice to meet him, and I had to earn my spot to get this big, beautiful male. And I'm telling you, Sean, that is one of the best dogs I've ever had placed in my hands. I'll never forget him. Probably why I don't have another Borbal, because who the hell is going to measure up? You know, um, I've been in those shoes as well, and I will always be. I can't just breed everybody here when they're kin to one another. So I guess you're right to an extent. What you just said really put something in my ear, and I need to watch my words closer. It's not always about mentoring, it is truly about meeting in the middle. And I want to place trust in my full rights people the same way that I want trust placed in me when I'm going as a customer and client to another breeder. There's a middle ground for everything. And I don't want to feel condescended on. I don't want to feel like my knowledge is always questioned. And I truly don't do that to other people either. Now, opening up with one another, we will bounce stuff left and right. Again, that dog is in your care. I only had it for 10 weeks. The dog's 2 years old now. You know that dog, not me. So tell me from the beginning. And we work as a team. And that's basically, as far as on the full rights, it's hard to open up rights, because people love to hang on coattails. They just love it. Oh, well, this one's dad did this and this and this. And I was like, but that's the dad. And I use Ventus and Easy's experience at the ATTS all the time. He got invited back, she didn't. And that really opened up my eyes, really, to, okay, you thought she was a hard ass little girl, but she showed you a few things today, didn't she, Sin? She had problems with the damn umbrella. You know how many times we've opened up an umbrella on this land? But that one day she had problems with it, and so, like, everything to me, I turn into a learning lesson. I try to. Uh, I am a redhead and I'm a bullhead, so I've got a temper. But once I just stop and chill and allow myself to learn, man, there's some good people out there that still want to pass on knowledge, and they want you to excel, and they want to build you up. You know, I feel like those are the ones that I should gravitate towards if possible. The ones that will meet me in the middle, the same way you were just talking. You don't want your thoughts and your knowledge to be condescended on, like you don't know what the hell you're talking about when you've had their dog for 2 years. You know what? You don't trust me. Um, it's just a fine line, is what it is. But let me tell you, my people, by the time that dog's 2 years old, I'm all up in their shit anyway. I know their kids' names. I know their other dogs' names. We are a family. And I can't stress it enough. You get a dog from me, you go into my contact list under Boxer Family. You're always, it may take me a few days. Some people get mad and shit, saying, yeah, I texted you that like 6 days ago. So, I got shit. With that being said, they're my family. And I have got people that had dogs from me 20, 25 years ago that are still in my contact list. And since then, they have went to other breeders. I help with their dogs too. I don't care. It's truly about the dog. It really is. The only thing that makes me feel bad or can make me feel bad about the program is when people come to me about money. I don't like it. I don't like feeling like that. And they feel like my prices are a little expensive. And I don't have the backbone sometimes to stand up and go, this is what I do, you know. And I wish I had a secretary that had those kind of balls just to deal with that, because I just want to go work dogs. I just want to get outside and go work dogs. That's the only thing I can say bad about the breeding, other than, you've got your losses. You got to learn through those too. When something bad happens here or through one of my friends' kennels or whatnot, I do my damnedest to turn it into a lesson, to learn from it, and to be able to pass on knowledge one day to somebody that's having the same problem. But as far as on that client side, I feel you. I feel you on that. I'm a client too, and I feel like if we can become team members versus client, but there's a lot of breeders, one, they don't care, or two, they just want to keep that business arm length. And I respect that as well. I mean, even some of my breeder buds, they're like, man, I'm surprised you bred that male, or let your male breed to this, that, and other. I'm like, dude, everybody starts somewhere. I've got the good male. That I want this male into this gene pool. I've done everything with him. Everything. I've tested him and will continue on. So of course, so this is what I tell them, man. Get you a good stud contract and put the damn good genes into that, to the female. Have your little testings or whatnot. I mean, there's so many different ways around it, but when people completely close it down, we're gonna lose the breed. It's that simple. So I'm a little bit more lax, especially like breeding, allowing my male to breed to this, that, and other or whatnot. Or some would feel like, that's a lackluster bitch. It is. It is. I bet the pups will be a lot better, because science says that we're supposed to breed better than what, or produce better than what we are. Okay. Well, that's what the hell I'm trying. So carry on. Uh, and he should be, and we all should be. There's a fine line between over, if you want to call it overuse, popular sire syndrome. Americans came up with that term, not Europe. Of course we did. You know, um, you don't want your coefficients so high up that you cannot work with the genetics being produced. But I'm going to tell you that if you completely cone out your dog and don't let it expand, then what in the hell are you improving? I'm sorry. You cannot take a damn good dog and only have two bitches for it. I learned so much about genetics and that kind of forte through my rabbits. I did years ago, rabbits. Huge. A male rabbit, a buck, will service 10 does. You know, I'm not saying let's go do this with all of our dogs. I'm saying it's not odd in nature. It's not. So if you put all your time, effort, and energy into one male and then close him down for this one or two females, you're not doing any good, because what you're seeing is most people literally close that down because they don't trust the people that the dogs are going to. All right. So then it becomes a people thing. They lose all sight of what's important, and that's the freaking genetics. We're still at the end of the day trying to put good genes into the gene pool that is slowly dwindling down to nothing. All right. But you won't do it because you don't trust that one. It's a fine line, and people have a hard time with it. They have a hard time filtering through some of that, or allowing themselves, or to even get into a situation where that person didn't do me right. and it's over money or something. At the end of the day, you better make sure that your dog that you put everything into is going to be able to produce with others, so you can produce. He's only here for a minute. He's only here for a minute. Yeah, you can take your sperm and you can freeze it up, and hopefully one day, it won't get mixed up, and this, that, and other, and you can do a frozen or whatnot later on. That that's not my forte. It's just not. I mean, of course, I believe in preserving the sperm and whatnot and all. But while that dog's here, I want him doing his job. And I'm a firm believer in that. A good male is absolutely priceless in a breeding program. And if you don't offer that to your surroundings, then you shouldn't have bred him to begin with and tapped into all of that. With all due respect. And some of my people are like, you're just too free. No, my shit's covered. I got contracts. I'm not free, with this male. I am literally putting the good stuff back in. And the very next year, can I use so and so? You sure can. You sure can. I knew you'd come back because he's a good male, and that's probably what you're looking for. You got ARVC ones over here, and I've got clear. Vice versa, whatever. A lot of people lose sight of that, and that if we don't utilize what we have standing on this earth, he's gonna be gone in no time. That's difficult for me to wrap my head around sometimes, that people are so closed up with their breeding programs, and it's usually due to money and humans. That's not the dog's fault.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I don't know. I think with the money thing, I think sometimes if you give up a little bit on the front end, but you're smart about it, you're
Right.
going to gain in the back end. You're going to actually make more money in the back end. And I haven't figured out how to do that in other parts of my life, but I could see it. You know what I mean?
Same. I understand. I see what you're saying. Definitely. Dogs are only here for a minute. A lot of people have really crossed over into the scientific part of things, and I'm cool with that. I love learning about it, and like the other day when I had that male here, and everybody's like, well, what's her progesterone? What's the numbers? I'm like, didn't pull them. I'm like, that's right. Oh, Sin over here doing it the natural way again. We're going to teach this boy that he's supposed to screw, and we're going to do this. And I'll be damned if he didn't figure it out. Now he's set. Now he can be a breeding dog. I produced him. We health tested him. Watched him go through his first, 2 to 3 years and build himself up. I was a huge part of that. And now we have him bred. I've done my due diligence with this dog. Now we put a good stud onto the earth. But up until then, he was just partial. He was a good boy with good expectation. We placed some stuff on him, but now he's done it. Let's see if she took. Now it's on her part, and this, that, and other. That all that's just like a lost art form anymore, and I don't like it. I want to see. I want live cover. I want a bitch that is strong enough and healthy enough to hold that male up. I want a male that's big enough and strong enough to push that female through it if she's a hard girl. I want natural. And that's very important to me. It's all becoming, with all the technology and the numbers and the scientific this, that, and other, it's become a lost art form, is what it's become. And I refuse to do that. I refuse to be a part of that loss. We pull a lot of numbers in the background. Nobody knows what in the hell Cyndi's up to sometimes. But at the end of the day, I want a natural live cover, is what I want. It's very important to me. And then instantly, the minute that tie stops, in my mind, she's pregnant. And we will monitor her all the way through sleep patterns, through intake and output. I mean, I monitor it. I don't put her in a bubble. I let her live life. We still do. We've done Holter monitors on pregnant females, just to see and get the numbers. We do all kinds of cool things in the background. But at the end of the day, I want natural as much as possible. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to see this world become, in the dog world, an AI only. I just don't. I want a good, strong male and a damn good female that can hold that up. That to me is what the epitome of a strong bitch is. And this little girl, she did great. There's 25 pounds difference, and that bitch held him up every time. I'm proud of that. I can say that now. instead of just running them up to the vet, which I understand some breeds have to be AI'd. I get it. My breed doesn't, So we're going to be a part of that. And I will continue to advocate for that live cover. A lot of people came to me when I was putting it out that I wanted this little female bred, but it was basically for the male. And they were like, hey, I can send you this. I'll send you that, fresh chilled semen, whatever. And I'm like, I'm good. Thank you. Let me try my male first. I'm doing this for him. I don't need this litter. I'm doing this to build him. It's his time to shine, and now he can. So I can basically sit back and go, I brought another young, dumb male through this damn breeding. Because they're difficult sometimes.
We were talking about big dogs and how they're not the easiest to maintain. So if you had to choose a small dog to introduce to your pack, not that you would or anything, what small breeds do you like?
John, I'm going to blow your mind when I tell you this. I am fascinated with the Teddy Roosevelt Terriers. I'm fascinated. So let me tell you why, and then I'll let you go. We went to a show a couple of years ago. It was a UKC because, they were still foundation through AKC at this point. And so where big dogs, they put us against the wall. Okay. We got big crates, big, 42-inch crates, all this, so get up against the wall, big dogs. So I'm sitting there with my 3 or 4 boxers or the boar, whoever I had. And this trolley train comes through. I'm not huge in the show world. I just keep my mouth shut, do my job because bullheads, whatever. So this trolley train comes through with all these little, what I thought was rat terriers. I'm not a huge fan. Okay. I don't like them barking. I was like, son of a bitch. And they just parked right in front of us. I'm telling you, like 15 little tiny, stacked up. And I'm like, I looked at my stepdaughter, Elaine. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And she was like, oh, don't do it. I never heard a peep out of them dogs. Not a single peep. And they looked to me, I sat back about 20 minutes just kind of monitoring them. They were really like, just a few feet in front of us. And they looked to me like my dog Harsh. They were so muscular, pointed ears, and they watched everything. And I'm like, what the hell are these dogs? So I went and talked to the lady. Absolutely precious. She's my friend now. And she's like, honey, these are teddies. And I was like, that's an odd name for such a badass looking little dog. That weekend she let me show one. She had 2 or 3, in the ring, and you can only show one, And would you help me? I was like, yes, ma'am. Absolutely. They hardly bark. Their demeanor about them is just, I'm a badass and this is my world. But at the same time, so loving and straight up in my lap, and just, I think I'm going to try to get a Teddy Roosevelt Terrier.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. If you ever want to talk to one of those ladies, I can hook you up with them. Absolutely precious. And they have seen this all the way through, getting this breed recognized by all of the, the registries. They have worked their tails off. They have done free shows, no point shows, anything they could do to get this breed up and going. And they're just little badasses. They'll do anything. It doesn't matter, any sport, they'll do anything. She tried to place one in our hands that weekend. Again, that was 2 or 3 years ago. And she wanted my stepdaughter. She was like, I'll give you this puppy if you'll just go show it. Well, at this point, I was kind of getting back into the breeding, and I was like, we're not going to hit the road very much, the next 6 months. I don't want to take from your program. If you can't find somebody, let me know. But I'm not the one for the next 6 months to get her out and about. Past that, I think that I really want one. I've been watching them. They're healthy. They're hardy little dogs. They're terriers. They're hardy little dogs. I've never been a terrier fan. They got along great with my hard dogs that day. Like they were just, it literally was like bringing in the boar, except a difference in size. It was such just a good, a mixture of temperaments. So I think that's what I'm gonna do is the teddies. I think I want one, which all my people were very surprised by, but I think that'd be a blast.
You know what? I didn't expect that, but yeah, I like that little breed.
Yeah,
And yeah, definitely. yeah, send me some leads, or yeah, hook me up with somebody. I'd love to talk to them. And they're, yeah, I don't know much about it, but everything that I've seen about them is been really interesting. And
They
it,
are they are neat. They're quiet. They're neat. They're a neat little breed. You know, very independent little fellas. Just a lot of fun, easy maintenance, low care as far as grooming, anything like that. You know, they've got their issues, you know, anal glands, and they've got their problems that little dogs have, patellas, eyes. But past that, their temperaments are just kind of badasses, and not in an ugly way. It's just that demeanor matches what I look for. It's just a solid, you know, it's not neurotic and it's not so mean. It's just a solid little dog, and that's how I feel about my hard dogs, my boxers. They some people are like they're aloof. Not really. They just don't give a damn about you. You know, we're here for us. You know, they don't care about you. You know, get them at the house. They'll get in your lap. It's okay. So, but Sean, it was great talking to you. I can't thank you for this opportunity.
no, I appreciate it. And it's always good to catch up with you. And I've been watching you ever since. So definitely love your program and love what you're doing. And looking forward to our future conversation.